This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, thank you. Who was that?
Groupies.
Is
They're
there
back.
is there other people watching this? Is that the Chinese spying on us with that fucking balloon?
Yeah, it's up. It's up there.
Oh man. Man, they hacked our stream. They know how important +3 is.
Yeah.
Yep.
+3. I
all
mean,
all over us.
I've got 3/4 of +3. We're already doing math here on this episode. We're missing Rick, but we've got Mike, Ron, and Mike or Michael. I don't know what he goes by these days, but maybe it was always Michael Evans, right?
Either is good.
Is it Mike? Is Mike okay?
Yeah.
Or I'll call you Michael and I'll call Mike Mike. And I'll call Ron.
That works.
All
That
right.
works.
That way you'll
We
know
have
who I'm addressing.
We have other nicknames, but we'll save that for another.
All right.
podcast.
We call a lot worse. I feel like it's dark in there.
I also like how Ron hijacked the hat that I'm wearing to also wear. This wasn't planned at all.
Well, it's because I watch your show so much. You know what I mean? You're my idol.
Oh, buddy, don't blow smoke up my ass. Don't do it. Don't do it. But we're representing Portland Frank.
Absolutely.
A new local band to NEPA. Members are no strangers to the local scene, but the band itself is new, and they just opened for the first +3 show in I don't know how long.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, so I'm really mad at my wife. I plan on going to that show. I'm like, it's like 15 minutes from my house. I'm like, +3 is back. Paulie's been down the shop at Axelrad getting merch for his band. I'm like, I love his brand. I love Paulie. I love those guys in that band. I gotta see them. I gotta see +3. And I'm like, man, I'm going to the show. And she's like, oh, we're having friends over that night. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, really? It was
Well,
like
they say happy wife, happy life.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. So it was like a Christmas thing that was like planned back in December that got pushed like 3 different times, and it fell on that date that you guys were playing that show, which is a bummer. But I hear you guys have some more shows coming up this year, so hopefully I'll make it to one of those. But I mean, +3. I was introduced to you guys back in 04 at the Weekender. Shout out Christy Greer, who is now known as Christy Greer Cerruti. Her and her husband Matt kind of introduced me to you guys as part of the Weekender and all that kind of stuff. But you guys have been around for a while, a little hiatus in between then and now. But I mean, +3 was a big deal, I think, in my opinion, anyways, back in the early 2000s. So welcome back.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad to be back. It's been like Ron said, it's been a minute, and it's an opportunity to get together this year and 20 years later from our first CD release, and it's a fun time so far. Missed a good show that night, but totally understandable.
What also looked like I missed a packed house. I mean, and I'm old now, and I don't know if I would have been able to like been okay with that, and I would have been like asses to elbows, but looked like a lot of fun. But like talk about +3, the inception of +3, 20 years ago. I'm sure you guys were playing before the release in 03, but like talk about +3 as a band that long ago, the start of it, like and just everything that kind of revolved around that, because you were a big band in that time as far as bands playing the local scene and even outside of this area.
Yeah. I think back in the day, a little over 20 years ago, we started playing around together with a couple different people. We had a couple different lineups, especially in the beginning. Started out with a duo with my buddy Josh Evans, and then we started playing with a couple other guys. Paul Hosey played with us. Trying to think of some other people that played with us. Conga Bob was with us for a while. And then, we were playing under a couple different band names. We formed a band called 13 Ikes, played with that band a couple shows, and then finally settled at +3. So once that came about, Mike and I were friends through college at Penn State. We met at Penn State and got a chance to start playing together. And so Mike came into the band. Rick was also around at the time. I went to high school with Rick. I've known Rick since we were in 10th grade. So like, I don't know, 21 years ago, but something like that. Anyway, yeah, so we got that core group together and we looked for a bass player, and Ron had, I can't remember. I think Ron, you had answered did you answer a classified ad? Did we have actual classified ads? I can't even remember, to be honest with you.
If I remember right, I think it was I walked into a music store, and you remember how they had a piece of paper with you could rip off the number.
Yeah, when everybody
That's how I found your
printed
number.
things. Yeah. That's right. And go ahead, Mike.
I say technically Ron was in the band before I
Really?
was, if you recall. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I
See, we
had
have no
tickets
memories.
Yeah, I had tickets to go see a concert, and Ron played the show without me, and then I played the next week. So
That's right. That's
what
right.
what really happened was that we were recording EP, remember? And you changed the name to +3 in the middle of that.
Was that for the first EP?
Yeah, halfway through, we changed the name. Then you called me and told me you got Ron. Then I ended up in all of this.
You drank a lot less than me over the years, I think. Maybe that's why my memory is so tainted a little bit. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. So our first CD we put together was called Happy Little Accidents, and it was an EP. We had about 7, 8 songs on it. And Mike went to school, recording school, after college for a little bit, and so he had a little setup in his basement at his house, and so he had offered to record it for us. And so you're exactly right. That's when we kind of started. Mike played some stuff on that album. That's when we had Josh Evans in the band, Paul Hosey. And so we would go up to Mike's, we'd record those songs, we put them together. And yeah, I guess that's where we changed the name to +3. There were 3 of us at the time. A lot of different things going on with that name, but yeah, so that's kind of where that happened. And then I guess Ron joined the group like through that ad. And it was funny because Ron's dad had played in a band with my brother way back in the day. They were called Tracer. And that was back in the late 70s, probably early 80s.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. So, and I remember Ron being at our house when they would practice. So like, I remember Ron as a little kid, his dad would bring him over, drop him off at the house because we were the same age. And I remember playing with him and his brother all the time, and really small world,
That's funny.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started. And, once we got together with this core group of the 3 of us and Rick, we set a goal to put an album together. We wanted to do our own music. There were a lot of other bands in the area that we were very, in awe of. I know for myself, 2 bands that really made me want to do this and do original music and focus on that, make that the focus of this group, was definitely Mere Mortals. I still remember hearing Monda Green Dream for the first time, and that album is kick-ass from start to finish, like so good. And I also remember walking into the Jazz Cafe one night and seeing Freight Train play, and Freight Train, Charles Tavera headed that band up, and it just blew my mind, and those 2 bands really helped me set a goal myself, like, hey, we got to do this, we want to do this, and luckily these guys were on the same page, they had the same aspirations, and so we started saving every dime that we made from every show that we played, and didn't take any pay, and saved up to go to Saturation Acres, and got lucky.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, back then, like, recording your own music and putting out a CD was kind of a big deal. I mean, it cost a lot of money. It wasn't like, not every band could or wanted to do that, so it was like a very conscious effort. And like you said, saving up every dime from every show you played to kind of get that done. In that time frame, like that 2003, even a little bit earlier, like I got into the scene in 04, really when I turned 21 in 03. I remember I always wanted to be out and about and looking and watching it and listening to bands. But I turned 21 in late 03, and then all my buddies didn't turn 21 till like middle of 04. So I still was like not out and about. And thank God for the weekend or my internship in 04, in like May or whatever it was, that I got kind of like forced and pushed out into that scene. But I remember it being a lot of original bands and also cover bands. Now, was that kind of like a 50-50 split, or was it more cover and less original?
I think oh, go ahead, Mike.
If you wanted to make money, you're more cover bands.
Cover band, right?
I would say there were a lot of original bands though, but it's tough sledding sometimes to do that.
Yeah, and so yeah, I agree with Mike. I think the money was where all the cover bands were, and John, if you remember back then, when you go to a bar, like when you got to the weekend or even during the week, there was a band playing at every bar every night, and that was the focal point. Like people went out to hear music, to hear bands, to have fun. Cell phones were just starting. It was nothing like that. You'd go there to have fun and watch the band, listen to music. And so, great cover bands came out of this area, and it was a big scene. And so, when the original scene started getting a little bit more backing from places like the Weekender, you guys at the Weekender were just always awesome about the local original scene. And, radio stations got on board, journalists, local music columnist Alan Stout was a big proponent of ours. That all came together, like, the right people started noticing that there was good original music coming out of this area, and it was right around the time where Breaking Benjamin hit it big, and so they helped to show people that we had a pretty good scene here for a little bit, and we still do. I don't want to say a little bit. I think there was always a really good scene here, and I think there still is. There's a lot of great new bands out there. But that's when it started, and so like the focus started going from, all right, well, we can throw some original bands in to open for these cover bands. Sometimes we'd play all original music, or the next thing was, let's put a bunch of original bands together to do these shows so they can fill 4 hours of music. There's not professional there's not professional musicians that do 4-hour shows. And here we are, you book a show and you have to play from 10 till 2, so what do you do when you have 7 original songs, so everything kind of worked together. But I think the bands that wanted to do it really found each other and worked together to make it happen in one way or another. And the people who liked what was going on, such as yourself and the Weekender, Alan, the Mountain, the radio station, all the local college radio stations were playing our stuff. So it was great. It was kind of, everything came together. I think we were just there at the right time, which was good.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question was because, Michael said that, if you wanted to get paid, you'd be a cover band. So like, why was it so important to you guys? Like, let's push this original stuff.
Well, for me personally, that's the only reason I wanted to do it. But I think we were sort of lucky or whatever, but because we were willing to play a lot of cover songs just to fill the night, we would play 4-hour shows. So we would do all of our originals and then 3 hours of covers mixed in,
So you bait and switch.
Well, it's not bait switch, but we had a 4-hour gig. And if you want to play, I mean, you gotta, and it's not that we hate, it's not that we hate playing cover songs either. It's fun to just go out and play. And I have nothing against bands playing covers. It's just personally for me, that was my focus the whole time. That was what I wanted to do.
I mean, if it was bait and switch, you would have baited them with the covers first, and then fooled them, played your original.
We would have put up like a UUU flyer or something, and we show up.
I wasn't insulting you. I was just making a joke. But you're right. I mean, especially
they were huge back then. That's why I say that. I got nothing against them there. They
No,
were
and that's
one
the
of the big bands
consensus.
around here back
It's always
then.
the consensus is like, no, nothing against cover bands because that's that people made a living off that stuff. Like, that people still do that. Cover bands, they're like, musicians who are getting paid as their annual salary to be in cover bands, which is cool. But it's also cool that you kind of hold true to like you want to be a musician and you want to create your own original material and you're just dedicated to that, which is I think really awesome.
Yeah, it's
Right. To the point, I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. Oh, no problem. No, it was tough to find that middle ground, and I think that we all work together to try to figure out ways to make that work. Like you said, like we would do 3/4 of our shows of covers, but I think our thing was, at least me, I would look for covers that fit our music so that we could make it all flow together.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I think, in my opinion, I think that's one thing that helped us was that, there's always the standard covers that everybody played, the hits on the radio that everybody loved. We did some of those, but we also, I think one of our things was we like to play covers that we liked, that we based our sound off of. And so, doing that, I think that not only helped us get through the shows, but it was made it fun for us as well,
Occasionally it would break your heart when you do a cover that you really loved and no one seemed to like it. I can recall a couple instances of that.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll never forget when I heard you guys play Pete Yorn, and I'm like, holy shit, this is the first cover band or band that I've ever heard cover Pete Yorn. No one knows who Pete Yorn is. No one cares. It's blasphemous.
It's terrible, right?
Terrible.
But there you have your perfect example. There's a song that we really liked, and that song in particular, "Life on a Chain," was one off of a great album there. But like that was one that we really enjoyed, and it was really fun to play. And we had the confidence in our friends and people who liked our music say, they're gonna like this too, so we're gonna play it. And so that was kind of, at least my goal in going into those, trying to put our sets together and figuring out what we wanted to play. And it seemed to work, I think, and there's people that come up to us like you just said, oh my God, somebody's playing Pete Yorn. I love Pete Yorn, but nobody else really knows who he is. It's nice to hear people after all these years say, wow, I can't believe, you guys turned me on to this band, or I can't, and I still enjoy them and everything else. And that makes us happy too. So that's all good.
How many times did drunk Johnny Popko come up to you and be like, play Pete Yorn?
At least a couple. At least a couple. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, and you know what? We loved every single time. Because that's what we enjoyed, that interaction. I mean, it was always about getting that connectedness between us and everyone, really.
Yeah, but then you'd be like, oh yeah, we already played it, and I'm like, play it again. Oh, young and stupid.
Yeah, well, that was all fun times, man, and it was all great.
It's great times. I mean, talk about some of the shows that you in venues you played at. I think you played at out of town as well. Like, in that timeline, you guys were obviously younger than you are now, and we'll kind of get into the timeline and kind of get to where we are today. But talk about those shows and being young and in a band and having that success that you guys had, and just crowd interaction and just people really appreciating what you guys were doing.
Well, they were definitely some of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
You can only go back in a time machine,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were lucky enough to have friends, a lot of friends, a good group of friends that would come out and support us. Like we could have been playing polka and they would have come out to support us. And so like it's all started with that. We had a great group of friends, all of us, and we had different groups of friends that all became friends at some point through that whole timeline. But it all started there. And so, basically it was having, a party every weekend at somebody else's house for all of our friends
Yeah.
and we'd go and play the music and luckily get paid at the end of the night for it, get some free drinks in between, more than we needed probably most nights, but yeah, so it was just a great time of our lives, and I agree with Ron. I think it was some of the best times of our lives. I think that that scene also helped at that time because people were still going out. There were a lot of, and I don't really go out much anymore, so maybe bars are packed. I have no idea. But there's always a good local crowd as well that we didn't know, who we ended up becoming friends with, and yeah, kept growing that way, and it was really nice.
Yeah, you guys were kind of on the I feel like on the tail end of
Coolness.
really, no, seriously, like I know
I
you
say
guys.
that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you guys put out another album. The title of that is escaping me. You can tell me in a second, but like I think it was like 05 you put that out, or maybe it was 04. But I mean, the scene kind of died down in 2007, 2008. I want to say.
Yeah, it kind of fell
Yeah, that
apart a
scene
little bit.
Yeah, that was 2005. You can tell from our end that the scene fell apart because it started out where like 80% of the gigs you would just show up with your amplifier and your guitar, and towards the end you're carrying the whole PA system and setting up in the
All the
corner.
work.
Setting up in between the two
Back in the
dartboards.
day, back in the day, there would be a stage and a PA system, and it was like the most amazing time. But I'm happy to be there regardless.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like you guys. I feel like you were the tail end of that whole thing, especially in EPA. And I don't know what it was. I think the economy had a lot to do with that. I know a lot of bars when the recession hit in 2008, a lot of them couldn't pay full bands. So they started doing DJs. God damn those DJs. I'm kidding. But yeah, it's just like it just kind of turned, and the bars that existed to have those band or the full bands, the stages, like Mike said, like they kind of closed, and a lot of them disappeared. And after we kind of welcomed bands back into the fold after we got sick of the DJs, there was like very little places to play.
Yeah, the amount of venues kind of dropped a little bit. I think it was a lot of different things happening. Again, it was the same kind of perfect storm that we started in, just a little bit different and going the opposite way. So it was kind of unfortunate, but yeah, that's kind of what happened. It kind of started dying down a little bit, and I think you're in a for us, and we had this conversation a lot back in the day, is the window to really do something with your music, in our minds at least at that time, was very small, and so we set our long-term and short-term goals on that fact. And I think that window, couple years, 4 or 5 years, it closes pretty quickly. And so when you have a bunch of bands going through that same time frame at the same time, I mean, that's another thing that kind of goes into it, is it's a lot of work, and you start growing into an adult and having adult responsibilities, and unfortunately, so kind of what happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what closes that window? Is it time, or like just like you said, you get married and you have kids and all that kind of stuff? It just, yeah, you're right. That window isn't open for that long.
Sure.
But
Well,
you did 2 records.
Sort of, yeah, at least 2.
Yeah. So yeah,
Two
so
and
we
a
had
half.
2 full lengths, right?
We did
two full lengths. Yep.
2 full lengths, and there was that EP that we did before I was officially in the band, and then we did some more extra towards the end there that never really made it to a CD.
Excuse me. Yeah, we had the last one that we put out was Greatest Misses, which had a couple songs from a couple of the CDs, but we also had like 4 or 5 new ones on there. So it was sort of a new EP, and then we released two singles after that, right? I think maybe.
something like that. I do recall though, to get back to the last thing, a hilarious conversation that we had. We were in, what was the contest? It was like a Virgin Records contest or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Somehow we ended up being one of the top 10 finalists in the country. And the grand prize was to win a chance to go on tour to open for Yellow Card. So we all met jobs and families or whatever to do this. And I think that was one of the eye-opening situations where we really started thinking about, like, can we really go on tour? Like, could we really? We didn't end up winning anyway, but you know, you get to be a certain age and you really start thinking about what that means, and just pick up and leave for 2 months or whatever the tour was. I forget, but
Yeah, think about that now
Yeah.
is like what, sounds exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the one thing that helped us too was like financially as a band. We all had full-time jobs, and they kept us busy. They paid us well, and so you have that as well that you're dealing with. That you have these full-time jobs, and how does that play into everything? And luckily, they helped us fund some things that we wanted to do. Gave us some extra cash, but you don't have that. It's very tough to focus on, if that's all you have is the band, sure, you can really focus on that and go for it. But we just unfortunately weren't in that situation at that time.
and also we also weren't 22 when that happened.
Sure.
If we would have been young, I don't know. It's personally, I was willing to go, but we didn't win anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were already all kind of semi-responsible for other things in life. Unfortunately.
Speak for
Yeah.
yourself.
Was there a point where you guys looked at each other and said, this is we're done here?
There were two ends to +3, to be honest. Maybe Mike can elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were playing very often, and we were very busy. And I think it takes its toll on any not only any band, any group, any family, any group of friends. Like it takes its toll. And so we got to a point where Ron and we all talked through things, and we thought, this isn't working right now, so we got to fix it somehow. So Ron had some other things going on, and Ron, you can kind of help out here a little bit. And so we had to kind of shift into a different direction, get a new bass player, and we started that second round and moved towards our second CD. And then same thing kind of happens there, where you just you get kind of stuck in a little bit of a rut.
Absolutely. I think I had to grow up a little bit, you know what I mean? To get a real job. I was just, thinking about getting married or proposing at the time. So that would be why I moved on at that time.
Yeah.
But, I wasn't on bad terms. I mean, we've always been in touch and played in different ways,
And that's when Joe came in, right? Joe Whalen?
Yeah, Joe Whalen.
Joe Whalen.
He Joe came in and he gave us great musician, great songwriter. He also had very similar goals that we did at the time of writing more music, putting it out there, trying to do something with it. And so Joe joined the group, and we had like a second part of our time together with this new bass player. Joe was a songwriter, so he brought songs in, he sang some songs. So our second disc, we had 3 songwriters, 3 voices, and tried to use that to our best ability. So that worked out very well for us there. We grew a little bit there. But yeah, so Joe's still playing music. he's still writing his own stuff, which is great. He has a band called Shiny Giant, I think they're called, and he's doing cover bands as well, and so he's very busy, and I'm sure that we'll see him at a couple of our shows this summer. At some point we'll be getting a lot of different members who've been in the band. We'll probably get them together at some point. So.
What was the name of that second album, the full length? Like Late Nights and something?
Lost Causes.
Late Night. Okay.
Late Nights and Lost Causes, yeah. And that was an album that came together fairly quickly. We had some time already booked. I don't think we had all the songs written by the time we had the recordings booked. So it's a little stress on us. But we tried to grow a little bit on that one. There was a little bit less acoustic based songs and more, straightforward rock with all electric guitars, and try to change it up a little bit. I thought it worked. I thought it went really well. I was really happy with that whole album and what we did after that as well. So
yeah. So anyone listening to this or watching this who's not familiar with +3, please go. They actually have Bad Math, which is the first full length, on Spotify. Check that out. So fantastic songs. Can we expect the second one to be on there soon?
Absolutely. I'm working on that. So we'll have the second one on there, and then we probably will also have our third kind of hybrid disc on there as well, called Greatest Misses. So we'll have those on there. We'll have those on there probably in the next month or so.
That's cool, because I wanted to dig out the second record. It's in my CD collection somewhere. It probably would have taken me a long time to do that. So I didn't get to it yet, and I wish it was on the streaming services so I could check it out again and revisit that. It's probably been 10, 15 years since I've even thought about that album.
And
I'm here. Yeah, and I would love to just kind of revisit that, because digging back into the Bad Math album, I mean, I think I've told you guys several times, Lean Back, the last track on that album, it might be my favorite +3 song. I don't know why. I like the layers in it. I like Michael's vocals a lot, but there's a lot of great songs on there. Queen of the Crane Game, By the Sea was a great song. August Memory. I mean, all these songs were just consistently good. There was never a song that was oh, that's dog shit. It was just they were all really good songs.
We saved those for our next CD. So
what, the dog shit ones?
yeah, they're all saved up. They're all on cassette demos somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll put them out at some point.
Well, let's talk about that, right? So you have all this music. You had the EP prior to Bad Math, Late Nights, Lost Causes, the Greatest Misses, and then you guys kind of took a break for 15 years or so, right?
It's +3, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I know Michael Michael and Rick had Empire in Decline, which was that's right. Yeah. I forgot it was everyone but the other Mike.
Yeah. They're way better.
But you guys were always, you guys have been active, for up until last year, right? Even
Still active.
Okay. Empire in Decline, still active.
Well, we had a show right before the pandemic. It was going great, and then the pandemic happened the next week and shut down for how long?
Yeah, it was crazy. It sucked. Yeah.
Yep.
But what was it like? Kind of well, first of all, how did you guys decide? You know what? It's time to get the group back together. How did that happen? You guys, are you bored? Kids are grown. Family's taken care of. You're in the house, just kind of all right, I gotta do something.
This group or the other group?
+3.
+3.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I mean, Ron, Rick, and I have been playing, so we've been active, and even if we haven't been playing too many shows, we've been rehearsing and working on songs. And last summer, Ron put a party together for his wife, and we got together and played that and had a good time. I don't know how they feel about it, but I mean, that kind of kickstarted it, I think, just the idea that what's stopping us from playing a show every once in a while? You know, it doesn't have to be every week. I think conceptually we're maintaining the other, you know, Empire in Decline. We'll play shows too, but you know, we'll play +3 shows whenever everybody can, and when we can't, we'll play Empire and Decline shows. You know, that's my perspective. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, I think for me, like Mike said, we did that party for Ron's wife, and she turned 30, and so like we had that party for her, and Ron asked us to play it, and we had a blast. Like, it was a real fun time, and it was really good to get back together, not only just playing, but just getting to hang out a little bit, talk, catch up. And I think it's a little bit of everything that you mentioned. I think, you know, families are growing up a little bit, kids are growing up, a little bit more free time. I know, you know, from my end especially, Ron, you're probably in the same boat there. And so like then it hit us that, wow, it's going to be 20 years for Bad Math in next year. And so like we said, well, this was last year, so I was like, well, let's just have fun with it. Let's use this to maybe reconnect, you know, get back together, get some shows together, rehearse a little bit, maybe write some new songs if it comes that way, and just have fun with it and enjoy it and kind of celebrate it, because like we said, it was a great time in our life and in all of our lives, and we didn't have all these things back then. Like, you know, we had MySpace, so you know, now it's just so easy it's just so much easier to connect now with friends, family, fans of the music. So we figured, you know, let's go all out, get a Facebook page back up, get an Instagram page back up, get our music on Spotify, and book some shows and have some fun with it. Give away all of our discs that we have in boxes that we never sold, and just have fun with the year, you know.
Are there a lot of records left?
There's a good amount.
No, they're all gone. Sold out. You had to record new ones just for these upcoming shows. Come on, sell it.
Yeah. I you know, we're debating that. We had some at they've been collecting dust for a couple of years, so
yeah,
be a little bit of both.
What was it like, you know, revisiting those songs, like, you know, after all those years?
Fun, a lot of fun. Yeah.
For me, it's great. For me, it's great because the parts are easy because I'm the guy who played them.
It was kind of like riding a bike. I mean, to be honest, my side of things, you know, it was very sporadic the times that I got to play guitar or you know, sit down with a guitar. Very busy with the kids and life in general, and so like getting back to these songs, I had to relearn some of them, which was awesome. I mean, it was really fun to relearn those songs, for me at least. It was awesome. And then to play them together again, it was like riding a bike once we all got together, you know.
Absolutely.
A lot of bands, when they write music and you know, 20 years passes, you know, they could look back and say like, man, what, I wouldn't write that song today. My life is so much different now. Or, you know, you grow as a person, and you grow as a person who, like, you know, listens to music over the past 20 years. Has there been any thoughts of like taking those songs that you've done and modifying them or re-recording them or doing any kind of retouches on those songs?
I'll leave that for the experts.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Personally, not for me. I mean, to be honest, I wish I could write Me Back Again. And there's another one on that disc that I really is, you know, something I wish I could write today, you know. But my musical tastes are exactly the same as 20 years ago. I mean, I listen. That's why I'm not growing as a person, but I still listen to the same music that I listened to 20 years ago, pretty much. I don't know about Mike. What do you think? Want to redo the records?
I was thinking maybe put an electronica twist on them and
Like
put
a
something out.
dance remix.
Yeah, sure. A lot more bass.
How about the bass?
Maybe like one song or two, just kind of like, you're kind of reintroducing +3 to, old fans, maybe trying to attract new fans as well. Like, maybe you take a song and kind of it's not modify it, but like put a 2023 take on it.
I don't even really know what 2023 new music is.
You got to do the Cardi B, that you got to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In all honesty, we have talked. We've
Auto
talked
tune.
about doing acoustic. We talked about maybe recording some acoustic versions, just kind of maybe for our own enjoyment, because we used to play a lot of acoustic shows, and we actually in 2023, that is 2023 as a band, is 90% acoustic shows. So we've talked about that before. I don't know if we'll do it, but it would be fun, But studio time's expensive, and honestly, I would prefer to write some new songs and record those rather than redo the old ones.
Yeah, that's. I was going to say the same thing there, Mike. I think from my standpoint, even the couple, the few rehearsals that we've had so far before our shows, we'll be in between songs, and one of us will start playing something, and it'll click. You can see it start clicking with everybody, and I think that's probably the route we would go first. Is I think we'd want to make new music with putting all of experiences from the last 5-6 years, 7 years that we haven't played together, putting those experiences together to get this new music out there. I know personally for me, when I was going back and rehearsing some of these songs that we wrote way back then, it actually was pretty awesome to get those feelings back of when we wrote them, when we put them together, how it all kind of flooded back in for me. And so there were a couple songs where I was like, wow, this is great. I mean, it just was that feeling came back like immediately, and so it was good stuff.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. Yeah, definitely make some new stuff, right? But you mentioned studio time. Like, yeah, it's expensive, but like I feel like you could probably do so much on your own now, and just kind of like, like I said, go back and touch those songs again just for fun, and maybe the acoustic thing is the way to go. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just spitballing. You know what I'm saying?
We should re-record one with Rick playing the stump fiddle. He's an expert.
Yeah.
Plus in 2023, is content is king. You got to be constantly releasing new music, and you got to join the TikTok. You got to get on that. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
TikTok?
I'm working on the dances.
Well, Mike, I mean,
I'm ready to I'm ready to get out there.
Well, you guys can consult your children. They could probably teach you a lot of how to utilize those platforms, because I don't know what the fuck is going on with them.
No, my kids help. My kids help with that, absolutely. So yeah, they got to get us on TikTok somehow. We got to get TikTok famous.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I'm not calling you guys old, because I don't belong on there either. But it's like,
oh, you can call us old. We call ourselves very old.
But what do guys our age do?
For you.
No, but it's not my band. I just made it. But no, what do guys like us, like what's our, what do we do on there? I don't know. Like I can't figure out a way to utilize it to promote this podcast. I don't know. It's just it's frustrating.
Yeah, I can't answer that one.
I've never been on TikTok or whatever.
No, you've never seen a video at least? Come on.
I got on Facebook because of the band. I didn't even have MySpace.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
We gotta get back. We gotta get back on MySpace.
We should bring MySpace back.
Yeah, log back into your MySpace page.
Well, everything recycles, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll come back eventually, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about creating music? From a early 2000 standpoint to like today's world. I mean, is there's nothing really changed for you guys, because it's like, okay, we're gonna write music and do what we always did, or is it kind of like, how do we attract a new audience, or don't you care?
I would say me
I think.
personally. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ron.
I would say me personally, at this stage of the game, I'm just happy to be playing and out there doing it, just playing the music, you know?
Yeah.
It's not about worried about what venues to book or how many people are going to come. I mean, it's just playing music with friends.
Cool.
Yeah, I think from my perspective of this band in general, from back in the early 2000s, was that when we would write songs, we trusted each other's instincts and we trusted each other's musical musical influences. And I think all of us, including Rick, I think we all have a very wide range of musical influences and music that we like, but we all respect that from each other. And I think we always use that to create music that we wanted to listen to. So like my main goal, and I don't know, I can speak on behalf of the whole band, but my main goal was, if we're going to write a song, I want to like it. I want us to like it first. And if we like it, I think I would trust that our families would like it and our friends would like it. And really, that's where it ended for me. I mean, it started with, if we're going to write a song, we have to like it. And it seemed to work out for us, I think. But that was my main goal in writing songs. And I think it still would be now. Like if we, next rehearsal we start writing a song, I want to make sure that it's something that we would listen to if we had to, if we were forced to.
Yeah.
At gunpoint.
Oh boy. At gunpoint.
My personal take on it is that when I write songs, I think we probably all kind of write songs differently, but I will pour over the lyrics for like months. Like I'll write it, and then every day I'll go down some words I want to change every day for months. And then it gets to the point where I feel good about it. I don't really care. I don't need somebody else to tell me if it's good or not,
Right.
There's
That's
nothing
the joy of getting older too. Like
preconceived.
Sure.
Well, even back then.
Absolutely.
I mean, you mentioned lean back, that you like that song. I mean, that was kind of like a experiment when we recorded. I don't know if these two remember that, but I mean, that, and the same thing happened on the second disc. There's another song on that one that turned out to be kind of an experiment where we kind of didn't even know where that was going to end up, but there was nothing like preconceived about it. It was just magic happened. We didn't make us famous, or we didn't have a #1 record, but to me, I'm very happy with that song and the way it came out. It was kind of some kind of magic anyway.
That's the joy of getting older, man. You just stop caring about stupid shit.
I got enough serious stuff to worry about.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
The band is supposed to be fun.
Yeah,
I think I played a little bit over the years.
So you had your first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we did with Late Nights and Lost Causes too. So we came out with Bad Math and the one Happy Little Accidents before that. A lot of acoustic based songs. A lot of them were. Our goal for Late Nights and Lost Causes, the one thing that I thought of was, well, let's see what we can do if we change this up a little bit. And so we brought another electric in, and we tried to be a little bit more, straightforward, rock. And it's always just a matter of growth and how much we want to grow as a group and push ourselves a little bit to think further and further every time we write a song. So like, not only every album, but every song. How can we do it better on the next one? And like Mike said, one of the things that I really liked about this band and still do is that, we can come into a session with an idea. And I think that we always let everybody put something in there. We welcome that input. We really don't go into something and say, no, this is exactly how it's going to be. We're not, Ron, you have this bass line that you like. We don't want it. That's not what we want. It was always open, like, hey, why don't you try that? We like that, and one of our songs on Bad Math came together like that. The song Wonder. I still remember the time when we got together. It was based on a really rough acoustic demo. We got together, everybody listened to it for a week or two, came together with their own parts, and it just all like clicked. And I still remember looking at each other after we put it together, like the first time we played it together with all of our own parts that we came up with, and we were just like, yeah, this is what we wanted, So I think that goes a lot into, how much fun we had and any success that we did have. I think that was a big part of it.
Yeah, tell me about the first show back this year, and then we'll wrap things up. I don't want to keep you up too late because we are, as we said, old. And we're recording this almost 10 o'clock at night now. But we just had that show back at the Lighthouse. How was that? That was kind of like the first real show back, right?
Yeah.
That
was that like?
It was pretty awesome. For me, it was a little nerve-wracking because these guys have had the luxury. They've been playing with Empire in Decline. I was a little anxious to be back on stage, and so the shot and the beer really helped before the show.
Never changes.
I mean, it never changes. Absolutely not. But yeah, we had. We were just very lucky to have all of our friends. Like the majority of our friends came out that night to see us, and we know how tough it is for everybody to get out and set a night to go out. You had mentioned earlier about how tough it is to get out and make plans, and so it was just pretty eye-opening to see that amount of people together again and making time to come out to celebrate that night with us. It was pretty, to me, it was just awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah,
like old times,
Overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were lucky enough to have Portland Frank open up for us, and we hadn't heard anything from them. We've been friends with Paulie for Paul Young for just as long as we've been together, and man, they just they were the perfect band to open up. Like, we enjoyed their set. We enjoyed their music. They're just a great band. I'm looking forward to hearing more of them and hopefully playing with them a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, start to finish, that was just a great night, really great night all around. And the Lighthouse itself, like the staff, they were just awesome, totally accommodating to us. They knew it was going to be packed. They made plans for it. They planned ahead, and it was a good night all around.
That's awesome. And it's not one and done. We've got more shows in 2023 from +3. Talk about those. Where can we catch you guys at?
Our next one will be June 24th at the Grotto at Harvey's Lake.
Staple.
Yeah. July 8th at the Lighthouse, but this time it'll be outside in that gorgeous patio they built. August 5th at Sicilian Bella Festa. That's an all-age acoustic show. August 26th at Jonathan's at Harvey's Lake. And then on September 30, I'll get into this a little bit on another time or date, but a special show we're planning at the Jazz Cafe on September 30. And I've been in touch with our friend Matt Cerruti. All the acts that we're going to have play, we're working on donating all that to United Way.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like a fun year ahead for +3. I'm so glad you guys are back.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being interested in our music all these years. Thanks for supporting us all these years. It's been a long time, and to have people like you in our corner, couldn't ask for anything better.
I mean, it's hard not to be a fan of not only the music, but of you guys as people in general. You guys have always been just really down to earth, good intentions, and just good people to be around. So it's easy to do for sure.
Thank you.
But Mike, one real quick thing before we leave. It's funny, when we started talking about setting this up, we were through Facebook Messenger, and I didn't want to put it through Messenger. So your wife, I don't know if they were friends or just acquaintances, may know my sister-in-law, Lisa Hewitt. She goes by her last name is Lisa Hewitt Ivanich now. She's married to my wife's brother. And so her brother put on like this like streaming service, like a beauty pageant that they were in, like back when they were like 18 years old. So he put it on there for like, us to make fun of Lisa. So we're watching it, and your wife is also one of the people in it. Like they're like modeling like gowns and stuff, like prom gowns.
Nice.
Ask her if she remembers that.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll definitely ask her. Yeah, she used to do that stuff long before we met. But yeah, that's hilarious. I always like every once in a while I'll find a picture from that era, and I'll make sure to blackmail her with it. So
it was just so weird because I just talked about you, and I'm watching this random like home video, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Jesse.
Oh, that's great.
Man.
That's great. I'll have to let her know.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you for joining me on the show. I'm glad that +3 is back. I'm looking forward to catching the show. I'm looking forward to the second album and other music to be put on the streaming services because people need to hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get it. We're working on getting it out there. So
is that a
we'll
long process?
Not really. It's just a little time consuming at first. We did
Yeah.
have everything on Spotify, and it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, Amazon, it's on all those. But
yeah,
we deactivated it back when we, officially kind of stopped playing. And once you deactivate it, you have to go through the entire process again of creating all the files, getting them uploaded.
Yeah.
We add the lyrics. So it's not too bad. It doesn't take too long. It's just when you're our age and there's all this other stuff going on in the background, it takes a little time to find some time for yourself.
I got you. I'm not calling you out. I was genuinely curious.
Yeah.
I'm not a musician. I don't have music on Spotify, so I didn't know the process behind it.
Yeah, it's actually fairly easy, to be honest. Like it's easy to get your stuff on there. It's a little bit of a process. So and there's cost to it, so
sure,
like everything else.
I was slowly adding things to YouTube before all this started. So there's a couple of small things on there, but you can find it.
That's awesome. Check out +3 streaming services, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check out Empire in Decline. Also a great band, has been around for a long time, still at it. So guys, thank you again. Best of luck. And I'll definitely see you at a show, unless my wife already has the rest of the year booked out for me, but I'll make up getting sick and then we'll figure it out.
There you go. We'll cover for you.
Sounds good.
We play party.
All right.
Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And
I really
thanks for
can't.
having us.
All right.
John, thanks again for having us.
Hey, we'll see you.
All right.
All right. Good night.